In the heart of downtown Los Angeles, a towering, faded structure stands like a forgotten monument to both ambition and despair. The Cecil Hotel, with its grand 1920s Art Deco design, hides a dark and haunting history that has fascinated and terrified generations. Originally built to house business travelers and hopefuls in Hollywood, its story has taken a drastic turn toward mystery, tragedy, and death. From its opening in 1924, the Cecil was a symbol of luxury in a city constantly on the rise. Its marble lobby and 700 rooms promised elegance to anyone who entered its doors. But soon, the waves of the Great Depression swept over the city, leaving the hotel to fade into the shadows of downtown Los Angeles. By the 1950s, the Cecil's status as a thriving hotel had crumbled, and it became a haven for the forgotten and the broken. Skid Row, a notorious area for crime and homelessness, loomed just outside its doors, casting a dark pall over its reputation. As decades passed, the Cecil Hotel became something far darker than anyone could have imagined. It wasn't just a place to stay, it became synonymous with death, disappearance, and sinister happenings. In fact, over the years, at least 16 deaths have been recorded at the Cecil, suicides, murders, and overdoses staining its legacy. The hotel began to attract a clientele with dark histories, drawn to its cheap rooms and anonymous atmosphere. One of the most chilling connections the Cecil holds is to the infamous Black Dahlia murder. In 1947, aspiring actress Elizabeth Short was found murdered in a gruesome crime that still remains unsolved. Though there is no concrete evidence, rumors have swirled that Short was seen in the bar of the Cecil Hotel just days before her death. The speculation added to the hotel's already growing reputation as a place where the darkest of stories played out. But it wasn't just unsolved murders that the Cecil became known for. In 1985, Richard Ramirez, the notorious Night Stalker, stayed at the Cecil during his killing spree. He allegedly roamed the hotel's hallways, covered in blood, and was never noticed by the staff. In 1991, Jack Unterweger, a serial killer from Austria, also stayed at the hotel, committing murders of his own during his stay. The Cecil's halls echoed with death and despair, but it wasn't just murder that haunted this building. Suicides were commonplace at the Cecil, with reports of desperate souls throwing themselves from the windows into the streets below. In 1962, Pauline Otten, just 27 years old, jumped from a window, tragically landing on a pedestrian and killing him instantly. More suicides followed, adding to the hotel's dark and tragic history. Yet what was it about the Cecil that made it a magnet for such darkness? Was it simply the cheap rooms and proximity to Skid Row that attracted the broken, or was there something more at play? Some have even speculated that a darker force lingers within its walls, a force that draws people to their demise. Then, in 2013, the Cecil's legacy reached a global audience with the mysterious disappearance of Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old Canadian student who checked into the hotel under the rebranded name of Stay on Main. Her disappearance and the eerie footage that surfaced from the hotel's elevator sparked a media frenzy. The footage shows Elisa acting erratically, pressing buttons on the elevator, stepping in and out as though she was hiding from something or someone invisible. Weeks later, her body was found in one of the hotel's water tanks, her clothes nearby, and the circumstances surrounding her death were shrouded in mystery. The official report stated that Elisa's death was accidental, likely caused by bipolar disorder, yet the lack of concrete answers only fueled conspiracy theories. Some theorists suggested paranormal activity, while others pointed to a government cover-up due to the similarity between Elisa's name and a tuberculosis test linked to a nearby outbreak. Despite the official findings, internet sleuths speculated about the hotel's dark influence, considering the peculiarities of the case. Elisa's behavior in the elevator, the restricted access to the roof, and the heavy water tank lid that would have been difficult to open. It seemed as though something beyond the physical world was at play, and the mystery of Elisa Lam's death became one of the most widely discussed and unresolved cases in modern true crime history. The hotel's haunting nature didn't stop there. The Cecil became part of popular culture, inspiring the hit TV series American Horror Story Hotel, a show that wove the hotel's tragic and eerie history into its narrative. The release of Netflix's Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel in 2021, brought Elisa Lam's story into the spotlight once again. Though critics argued that the docuseries exploited the tragedy for entertainment value, the Cecil's transformation attempts, like rebranding itself as Stay on Main, could never fully escape its sinister past. While some tried to give the building a fresh start, its haunted history lingered, attracting tourists and thrill-seekers looking for a glimpse into the darkness. In 2024, the Cecil was repurposed into a supportive housing complex for the homeless, but its future remained uncertain as it was placed up for sale. Despite its efforts to evolve, the Cecil Hotel stands as a symbol of Los Angeles' duality. A city of glamour and grit, a place where dreams and nightmares collide. Its reputation as a dark landmark has only been solidified with time. And as long as the Cecil remains standing, its haunting tales will continue to linger in the minds of those who dare to look beyond the surface. The Cecil Hotel is more than just a building. It is a testament to the darkness that can exist in plain sight. It's a place where history, tragedy, and the unknown meet, creating a legacy that will never be forgotten. Elisa Lam's tragic story may have thrust the Cecil Hotel back into the global spotlight, but it was far from the only tale that continues to disturb those who look deeper. Because behind the walls of that towering structure lies a mosaic of human suffering, fragmented, unresolved, and sometimes forgotten. The truth is, the Cecil Hotel became more than just a location. It became a character in its own horror story. Residents would often speak of strange sounds, doors creaking open without warning, footsteps echoing in hallways that should have been empty, lights flickering as if reacting to something unseen. The hotel seemed to breathe with its own rhythm, feeding off the emotions of those who entered, never quite letting them leave the same. Staff members over the years told stories they couldn't explain. Housekeepers reported cleaning rooms that felt unnaturally cold, as if someone or something had just been there. One former employee who worked night shifts in the early 2000s said she avoided the 14th floor entirely after multiple unsettling experiences. Doors slamming shut when no one else was on the floor, whispers coming from empty rooms, and shadows that didn't belong to anyone. Then there were the guests. Some checked in and left immediately, unnerved by the feeling of being watched or followed. Others reported sleep paralysis, seeing shadowy figures at the foot of their beds. A few left notes at the front desk, asking to be moved to another floor, anywhere but where they had been. But it wasn't just ghost stories that kept the Cecil in the news. In the early 2000s, crime in the surrounding Skid Row area worsened, with thousands of unhoused individuals living just outside the hotel's doors. The line between refuge and danger blurred. Drug use, mental illness, and desperation coalesced in and around the building. This created an environment where tragedy was almost inevitable. In one case, a man was found in a stairwell after overdosing, his presence unnoticed for days. In another, a woman went missing for weeks before being discovered in a room that had somehow slipped past housekeeping rotations. These events were never widely reported, overshadowed by more sensational stories like that of Ramirez or Elisa Lam, but they happened, and they added weight to the Cecil's already overwhelming aura. The hotel's management made several attempts to sanitize its reputation. In 2011, when Stay on Main was launched, they tried to partition parts of the hotel, keeping budget travelers separate from the long-term tenants. But these attempts were superficial. The elevators were shared, the walls were shared, the energy was shared. No matter how fresh the paint or modern the decor, the past was embedded in the building like rot beneath wallpaper. And that past continued to inspire. Writers, filmmakers, and paranormal investigators made the Cecil a cornerstone of their work. In American Horror Story, Hotel, the character modeled after Ramirez walked its halls. The series took inspiration from real events, creating a fictional world that mirrored the dark glamour of the Cecil. Audiences were enthralled, not just by the dramatization, but by the truth they knew lurked beneath it. Paranormal investigators, including Zach Bagans and his team from Ghost Adventures, conducted a full investigation of the building. They claimed to experience unexplained equipment malfunctions, sudden temperature drops, and even physical contact from unseen forces. Whether or not you believe in the supernatural, the building seemed to resist being forgotten. But not all fascination came from a place of curiosity. Some came to exploit the darkness. In the years following Elisa Lam's death, tourists began treating the Cecil like a haunted attraction. They would sneak in for ghost hunts, pose outside for selfies, even attempt to stay in rooms connected to past deaths. The pain and tragedy of those who lived and died within its walls became internet content, viral videos, and conspiracy clickbait. The 2021 Netflix docuseries attempted to explore the Elisa Lam case with seriousness, but many criticized its approach, accusing it of highlighting wild theories while neglecting the very real issue of mental health. It wasn't just about Elisa anymore. It was about spectacle, and that spectacle fed the hotel's myth. Yet beneath all the noise, the Cecil's core remained unchanged. A building steeped in sorrow, weighed down by decades of trauma. A place that absorbed the pain of generations, those who came for a new beginning and left only as names on a coroner's report. By 2024, the city tried again to give the Cecil a new role. The building was repurposed as a supportive housing complex for the formerly homeless, part of Los Angeles' effort to address the city's growing crisis. But even that initiative stumbled. Complaints of mismanagement, lack of resources, and safety concerns soon emerged. The building once again fell into uncertainty, its $100 million renovation plan left hanging in limbo. For sale signs were placed on the property and whispers of redevelopment returned. But the question remains, can you really rebuild something that was never just bricks and concrete? Can you transform a place where so many lives ended, where pain lingers in the silence between the walls? The Cecil Hotel doesn't just haunt Los Angeles, it haunts us all, because in its story we see the very worst of human nature: neglect, abandonment, violence, and our failure to protect the vulnerable. But we also see reflection, a mirror into the systems that create such places in the first place. For those who lived there, worked there, or died there, the Cecil wasn't a myth, it was real. And while some may reduce its legacy to ghost stories and urban legends, the truth is far more unsettling. The real hauntings come from within, from the silence that follows tragedy, from the questions that never get answered, and from the pain that echoes long after the doors have closed. Even now, if you walk by 640 South Main Street, you can feel it, not in some paranormal sense, but in your bones. The weight of what happened there clings to the sidewalk, lingers on the breeze, and waits in the shadows. The Cecil Hotel is not just a relic of the past, it's a warning, because some buildings don't forget, and neither should we.